accused Joe Biden of inappropriate behavior. Amy Lapos says the 76-year-old former vice president touched her face and rubbed noses with her a decade ago.
It didn't feel sexual. It just felt like a total invasion of my space. I cannot watch a woman be plastered and crucified for something that I experienced as well.
Ms. Lapos went on to say all the men should pull out of the Democratic race out of respect for women. But a noticeable number of men and women on both sides of the political aisle have come to Mr. Biden's defense, saying he's affectionate, not inappropriate.
The accusations are raising, of course, heated debates once again about the issue of gender, sexual harassment and age in a race that has huge consequences for Democrats. Joining us now is the Washington bureau chief for the New York Times, Elizabeth Boomiller. Elizabeth, Joe Biden has not even announced his candidacy yet. Do you think these two accusations of inappropriate physical behavior, contact, are going to mean that he doesn't ever announce his candidacy?
No, I think it's too early to say that, not at all. But I do think that the debate is a reflection of how much American politics and society has changed since in the last 5 years even. You know, Nancy Pelosi, interestingly, came out this morning and said, the Speaker of the House, and said that while Joe Biden's actions were not disqualifying for the presidency, he needed to learn the new boundaries, and said, you know, may I introduce him to the sort of the straight arm handshake? She said, I shake hands with people as if I have a cold and as if the other person has a cold, and he needs to learn that. This is just how things have changed again over the last 10 years in the United States. And she also said, interestingly, that this is not, it is not how the hug or the kiss was intended. It is how it is received by the individual, by the woman. So, you know, again, it's just sort of a totally different standard now in political behavior.
But you don't think it puts pressure on Joe Biden to withdraw consideration of running? I mean, that this is going to be something that just bogs down his candidacy?
Well, of course it puts pressure on him, but I do not think at this point that he will not run because of this. We have to remember who was in the White House. And the Democrats are holding themselves to a far higher standard than the current president. And there's a lot of debate within Democratic circles that the Democrats are just eating their own, that they are, again, setting an impossible bar for their candidates. And I do not believe at this point that the fact that this will keep Joe Biden from announcing for the presidency.
Elizabeth, while I've got you, the other news in America today is about the security clearances that the White House has granted for 25 people who were initially blocked. We've had a whistleblower who's told the House Oversight Committee that the executive broached normal protocol by putting some of these security clearances through. I mean, is it not in the power of the executive to decide to do that?
Absolutely, but this is a large number of people. In previous administrations for security clearances, it is not unusual for the red flags to go up about a person's finances, a person's business dealings, potential conflicts of interest, but they're usually resolved, and there's not quite so many. In this case, we are told that the White House just said, never mind, and waved them through, and did not try to deal with mitigating circumstances. So this is quite unusual.
Okay, Elizabeth Boomiller, thank you very much for joining us. One other